confident there are going to be lots of points of view this evening. We're going to be joined here in just a moment by Jay DeLancy of the Voter Integrity Project to give us an update on the events of the past day there at the State Board of Elections. A hearing that's been conducted at the North Carolina Bar Association's building in their rotunda. So I'm curious to see how many people are in attendance. We have heard just a few moments ago that, in fact, the Republican candidate who till today was pretty much the declared winner for the race, still the totals in contention. But he announced that he felt that he needed to step down and there needed to be a new race. So we're going to get that information from Jay DeLancy here in just a moment. Following that, we're going to be chatting with Mark Rotterman, and I'm confident this topic will be coming up as well. Stay with us here on Viewpoints this afternoon, and of course in the second hour, the why factor. And we've got a lot to talk about there. Mr. Smollett being one of the many topics. The fact that Mr. Smollett is now, he's been arrested. So we'll get the details on that. Okay, first and foremost, the numbers, if you'd like to join us locally, 252 area code 247-7282. That's 247-7282. That toll-free number, 800-818-2255. Via email at viewpoints with an S, viewpointsradio@hotmail.com. Via Facebook at Viewpoints on the Talk Station. And, of course, to always thank our sponsors for the afternoon, Advanced Water Systems, the people that bring you Connecticut, folks that are practically reinventing water. And Floyd's 1921 restaurant located at 4th and Bridges Street in beautiful uptown Morehead City, where we are waiting. As a matter of fact, I got a call earlier today about Floyd's from, of all places, Greensboro area. They wanted to know how the restaurant is faring. We'll give you details about that a little later on in the program. First, let's go to Jay DeLancy joining us here from, I guess, the scene of the events today. Jay, good afternoon. Thanks for taking the time to be with us.
Good afternoon, Lockwood. Yes, just to be clear, the hearing was in a courtroom kind of setting at that bar association.
Right.
And I called you the other day. I was standing in the rotunda.
Oh, I apologize. Thank you. All right.
It's over. It's over.
I know. And tell us how this all transpired. I mean, what happened?
Rather quickly.
Yeah.
Okay. Harris stepped in a perjury trap today, this morning.
No, when you say a perjury trap, wait. When you say a perjury trap, I think that's being, is it really a trap, or did he just create a situation where he could have been charged with perjury?
Well, there's certainly that.
Okay.
Let me lay out. I mean, I would call it just being an observer of it and knowing how they go. That's the short speak for it. But what had happened was they asked him, hey, have you discussed those emails? Now, the emails in question are his son, John, had brought some emails yesterday when he testified. Mm-hmm. And they were emails that were pretty interesting, pretty inflammatory. Mm-hmm. That really it revealed that John had reservations against his dad having anything to do with McCrae Dallas, the guy at the center of the investigation, the criminal investigation.
Right.
Okay. All right. So Dallas, young lad, John, is a assistant U.S. attorney.
Right.
And he did a little bit of homework and said, I don't like this guy. And Daddy ignored his son's advice and went forward with the campaign. And that didn't come out until young John brought these emails with him to the hearing. And then they asked him today, said, did you tell anybody those emails would not be admitted into court? And he said, no. He said, no, I didn't tell anybody that. I said, are you sure you didn't tell anybody? Wow. And then he goes, well, I don't recall telling anybody. And then Josh Lawson, the state attorney for the Board of Elections, after they're done with all their questioning, he goes, now, Mr. Harris, I want to go back. Before we go to lunch, I want to ask you this one question again, just to be sure I understood you. Are you clear, or did I really understand you that you did not have any conversations with anybody about this email? And then he starts stuttering, going, well, I don't recall. I don't remember any of that. And then Lawson, the board chair, says, okay, we're going to break for lunch, and we'll come back and pick this up. And Lawson volunteers Mr. Chairman, we may need to delay the return because they said come back at 2. And he goes, we may need to delay the return because I need to speak with the district attorney because she has authority that this board does not have. And then the board chair was like, whoa, shut up. Okay. All right, we're done here. And then, so at that point, I figured, okay, he has stepped in a perjury trap. I don't know how they had it. And sure enough, they came back after lunch. They were delayed. They were supposed to come back at 2, and I think it was about, I didn't look at my watch, I think it was around 2:30, 2:35. They all come walking in, and Harris says, I'd like to make a statement. And he starts talking about a stroke he had in January that apparently he didn't realize it, but it must have impaired his memory. And he had forgotten about a conversation he had with his other son about those emails that which you speak.
Oh,
and,
wow.
you can read his statement, but it was clear that they were in the back room. They showed him something that made him realize that he was headed for a very disgraceful trial for lying.
Okay,
were
these witnesses were then speaking under oath?
Well, I don't know what evidence they had, but they said something to him in the back room, and he walked out and said, "Yeah, I'm stepping down. I had a stroke, and y'all do need to. I'm requesting a new election."
All right, so he's stepping down. When that announcement came, what was the reaction of the crowd, Jay?
Oh, there were audible gasps.
Really?
And, you could have heard a pin drop. And then Harris got up and walked out. He looked very grim. And he walked out of the room, and that was it. And a whole bunch of people left the room, and then they took up the matter of Robeson County, whole other issue.
Okay, but here's a question.
Republican judge,
all right,
a whole other issue.
Here's another question before we get to that very quickly. Jay DeLancy with us for a few more moments. Jay, did the Board of Elections then ask for a decision? Did the chairman ask for a decision on whether or not there should be a new election? Because obviously it's the Board of Elections' decision to whether or not to hold another election. So did they vote on that? And how quickly did they do it? Right after he spoke or before other evidence was being presented?
That's a good question.
Okay.
I departed before, well, I'll put it this way. They began the hearing on the Robeson County stuff and didn't say anything about what had just happened. They didn't hold a vote.
Okay.
But a little later this afternoon they did. It's in the news now.
5-0.
The state board voted unanimous. Yeah.
All right.
Apparently, there's other factors too. It'll come out in the details that they also agreed to hold a couple of other local elections in Bladen County. But interestingly enough, they said they needed to defer on the Robeson County judicial race, and that it's a question for the governor, and they're not sure who has authority. And this is where we're upset because we believe that they're trying to cover up the fraud that was in Robeson County, which greatly favored the Democrat who won that seat by 67 seats.
Wow.
And
right.
We'll have to save that for another day. But that's we'll have more to say on that later.
All right.
But this is where we're at. Our nerves are pretty raw over what they did to shield the public from any evidence of fraud in Robeson County.
Okay. So this is all part of the 9th Congressional District. All right, Jay, I'm going to chat with you briefly off air, but thank you very much for being with us this afternoon and for bringing us up to date. As we've just heard, Mr. Harris, Reverend Mark Harris, has announced that he is not going to pursue the race for the congressional race for the 9th Congressional District, and he himself has recommended that they conduct another election. This may play a role in the decisions here in the 3rd Congressional District as well, and not because it's related, but because there's also a special election for that race as well needed. Stay with us for more here on Viewpoints on the Talk Station.